Hi everyone, my name is Emily. I'm a final year statistics undergraduate here at Warwick and I'm starting to revise for my exams. It's currently the Easter holiday and I just want to get started with it all. So today I'm focusing on ST407, which is Monte Carlo methods. It's a good mixture of application based assignments and theoretical work, so I thought it was a good one to show you around and how I'm preparing for my upcoming exams. So today I decided I was going to work in the MathStat building. I really like walking around campus and finding new locations. It adds a bit of variety to my day. This was my setup. It was lovely and quiet because obviously it's the Easter holidays. I think it's also really important to get out and about. It gives you some fresh air compared to working in your room all day. It's also a natural break, and I find that walking and a bit of exercise makes me work better.
You'll need to check at your own department, but this year stats exams are back to in person and closed book, so that means lots of bookwork for me. So I'm going to give you some tips on how I try to memorise all of the definitions and theorems I need for the bookwork aspect of the exams.
By bookwork, I mean any proofs or definitions or theorems which we're presented during our time on the module, so either through the lecture notes or through the lectures themselves. And usually in an exam, for a bookwork question, they might ask you to define something or prove a certain theorem. So it's really important to try and learn these theorems and also understand them. I usually find that understanding the theorem actually helps me with the whole module. If there's a theorem I don't understand, it's probably because I haven't understood the material earlier on. So I think whether it's an online or open book exam, I think it's a good way to get started. So the first thing I do is start annotating the lecture notes. I do this on my iPad, but you can do this in any way you find useful. I usually just highlight the bits I think are important and annotate things, maybe links between other areas of the module or other modules in general. After I've started to find certain definitions or theorems, I want to start learning them or breaking them down. And the first way I begin to do that is using cue cards. With these kinds of cards, I write down a definition or I write down a theorem, and then underneath I'll prove the theorem. But instead of writing everything down straight away as I see in the lecture notes, I go line by line, making sure I understand the jump at every point in the proof. This can take a lot of time. For one theorem, if it's particularly difficult, like it was in this case when I was doing my time lapse, you have to spend quite a long time going through lots of different areas. That could include the internet, your lecture notes, other previous modules. So don't expect this to take a short amount of time. It's going to take a while, but in the end, as soon as you've mastered the proof once, it will be much easier to replicate, and there'll be a journey you can follow compared to just writing things down and trying to memorise it all blindly.
So here's an example of one of the theorems I just proved in the time-lapse video. This took me a good 20-30 minutes. I was working with lecture notes but also looking online to see if there are any other proofs. So yes, it was particularly complicated, but you shouldn't be writing stuff down blindly, because if I didn't understand the proof, then I probably don't understand the material which I've been looking at so far. So it's really important to try and keep adding to everything. Keep on finding new resources which help you understand things better. So I use some colour coding here as well to try and work out different areas of the proof and just find out what works for you. I've also been adding flashcards. So I use a software called Anki, and it means that I can add LaTeX to my all of my different revision cards. So if we preview what my flashcard looks like, we get all of the lovely LaTeX sorted for us, and so it's much nicer to revise with. Anki's a smart software, so it can work out what questions you haven't done recently, or questions which you've studied more. So if I think of an inversion method, I try and recite the definition, and I have to rate it about how easy it was to recite. So if I write again, it will repeat in less than a minute. Good was 10 minutes, and easy is 4 days. So you can really start looking at what definitions you really need help with.
So the time currently is 10 to 5,
so it's coming to the end of my day here in the MathStat building. So I just wanted to give you a few more hints and tips about how I'll be preparing for exams over the coming few weeks. Obviously today, this was the first time I've been looking at the module, so a lot of it is doing the groundwork, so trying to start writing up definitions and theorems and to try and build on that over the coming few weeks. So I have a few more tips I want to give you. The first one is practice. Today I've been doing a lot of writing things up, but I assure you that I'll be doing a lot of practice when it comes to getting closer to the exams. So mainly if we're looking at flashcards and learning theorems, it will be like writing down theorems without seeing them, or doing flashcards without the definitions. But obviously there's lots of other applications. My paper won't necessarily, well, it won't be all bookwork, so there's other things I need to do. For that, I'm mainly going to focus on previous past papers and assignments. Those are set by the lecturers, so obviously they're going to be the best when you're trying to work out what the paper might be like. And usually for statistics modules especially, there's a lot of good solutions available, so I'm going to work through them and then learn from the solutions if I get stuck. Also, there are lots of other recommended reading textbooks. These I definitely learnt about last year with online learning and online papers. They were a really good place to access new questions which the lecturer hasn't set before. And also, you never know, the lecturer has to find questions somewhere to give to us. So if you look at the recommended reading, it might be a good way to see kind of questions which they may be asking. So that's my number one tip, is practice. Next up, don't burn out. It's easier said than done, but it's important to try and have some form of work-life balance whilst at uni, especially when it comes up to exam season. So at the moment, I'd say I'm working about like 10 till 5 during the weekdays. I find it's kind of helpful to have like a work schedule, and it means that when I get home I don't need to do any more work, which is great for me. Another tip I have, which maybe won't be very fun to hear, is that revision is hard. It should be difficult and take up quite a lot of thought during the day. I feel quite tired now, having finished the end of the day. It's because you have to use a lot of brain power to try and keep understanding things and learning more. If you're finding revision easy, maybe it's because you're coasting a little bit. You might be doing the easy definitions or easy assignments, or using solutions too much. You should kind of be struggling, and hopefully over time you'll improve, and it will definitely improve your results. If you're finding you're struggling, that's probably a good thing, because it's showing areas where you need to learn a bit more. Another thing which I know, which is very true, is not the hours which count with revision, it's the days. There's no point trying to cram everything right at the end. You might retain some things, but you won't know very much about the whole module. You won't have much time to think about it or have dwelled on it. So I definitely recommend putting days into your revision. Maybe you only do 2 hours a day, but over time, all of those different days will add up and will make it a lot easier and less stressful when it comes to learning for exams. My final piece of advice is to take care of yourself. If there's something out of revision you really want to do, then you should definitely do it. It gives you a reason to carry on working so hard, and you'll probably feel better for it as well. I found in previous years when I kind of said no to social activities during revision time, I'd usually just waste my time anyway because I didn't really feel motivated to work. So definitely try and balance things. If you feel like you need a break, you should take it. Try going on walks, meeting up with friends, or doing other bigger activities at the weekend to give you a reason to carry on going and a reason to look forward to things. So this marks the end of my revision vlog. I hope some of the tips I have for you are useful, and good luck with your exams.